Recording in progress.
All right, good evening. Oh, I don't have a paper. I forgot to get an agenda, actually. Today is December 15th. I was going to say 9th. Yikes. 2025. And this is the Historic Preservation Commission, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Beauchamp? Oh, not here. Sorry, Commissioner Berg? Here. Commissioner Haley?
Here.
Commissioner Keller?
Here.
Commissioner Whidden?
Here.
And Commissioner Wilt?
Here.
Awesome, I can pull it up on my phone. All right. So our agenda this evening, does anyone have any changes or additions to our agenda? So a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And any public comments that are not on our agenda this evening? Is anyone online? I'm guessing no. All right. And then we'll have our first item is probable cause for 936 Parkview Street, and we'll have a presentation from staff.
Good evening, Commissioners. Apologies about the agendas not being printed on your desk, but we have a short agenda, so hopefully that helps. I'm Jess Daniels, Senior Planner, and the first case is a probable cause for 936 Parkview Street. It's located at the intersection of, I can't actually see it here. Parkview Street, basically. So as a reminder, for probable cause, this is how the Historic Preservation Commission approves grants for historic structure assessments, and the landmarking criteria is used to evaluate probable cause. And this grant would cover up to $7,500 for a residential property in this case. So these photos show the property and how it's changed over time in comparing the 1952 Boulder County Assessor Card photo and present day images. The exterior of the building has appeared to have changed slightly, and an HSA would provide more information on the architectural changes over time. So in looking at our reports and designations, Palio West Stories in Place identifies this property as one of 3 unique historic working class homes in Louisville. It was one of 3 properties that was moved from a mine site to the current site, and in this case, that was the Centennial Mine in 1935. It's also identified on the Palio West 100 architectural inventories as an eligible structure for both national and state Register of Historic Places, and it's identified as a national architectural type. So in considering the landmark criteria, the home was constructed in approximately 1920, so it's about 106 years old. Its social significance includes mining and French immigration history, as well as mining, working class mining history. And it was moved from Centennial Mine to 936 Parkview Street in 1935, and has likely maintained its historic footprint since it was moved. So for these reasons, staff recommends finding probable cause and approving a grant of up to $7,500 towards the cost of a historic structure assessment. That concludes my presentation if you have any questions, and the applicant is here as well if you have any questions.
Any questions for staff?
No.
All right, thank you. Would the applicant like to say anything or not? You don't necessarily need to. Okay. All right, and no public is here, so we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I like it. I like that in the readings it mentioned that this particular property has more of the actual history of the move than any other property they've seen in Louisville. So we've got a really good detailed base of what's happened with this house. It looks fairly structurally sound, so it's got the right years. It's in a good neighborhood close to me. And No, I think it's a good candidate. I don't really see any reasons for me to object.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And from an engineering point of view, I think any house that's been moved, HSA is a very wise choice to just make sure everything structurally is sound. So I would be inclined to approve it.
I agree. I mean, I particularly enjoyed reading the history of the home, and it's a unique sort of Louisville story with the move from the mine and how well documented it is. So I'd be in favor of approving.
I don't know if I really have anything additional to add to it. So.
I'd like to make a motion then to approve an HSA, probable cause for HSA for 936 Parkview Street.
I'll second.
We'll do a roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Whidden,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilt,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Haley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Keller.
Yes.
All right. And then staff will be in touch, or you can be in touch with staff as far as next steps. And so hopefully we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.
Congratulations, you're on the way.
All right. And then our next item is a work plan and subcommittee update.
Okay, so I'll just go through this table one by one. So the first item is the grant program update. As you know, you considered that resolution at our last meeting, and it's being considered by City Council tomorrow night for adoption. It's on the consent agenda, so I anticipate it going through so we can start implementing those new limits in the new year, which is great. The next item is the online map, and I'll pass it over to Josh and Linda for an update.
We just met with staff and GIS person at the city, just trying to identify what we could do and the status of the existing map and when it was going to go back down and be outdated. At that time, I think we determined that it had been probably about 5 years since things had been added to it. And so the first thing was probably to update and add any of the items that were missing from current historic landmark type setups. And then additionally, we just kind of went through a mapping setup, kind of a rough draft, second draft situation of just trying to go through and find the, I guess the overlay, the historic downtown overlay, and start to pull from that a little bit and see what is out there as far as structures that were identified in the Paleo West suggestions, and try to find that as maybe being a next step for that map of structures that were identified already as being ones that we might want to preference. So we would have some sort of a map and identity to those. And then additionally, looking at going through and putting together a overlay on there for different sections of the downtown area. So maybe the first one being the immediate downtown, second one being, you know, whichever one came next as far as an addition, Jefferson Place, you know, Caledonia Place, all that sort of stuff. And going through and one by one, kind of clicking those off. And three ways that we were looking at mapping them was structures that seemed like they were ones that we might want to consider targeting. Not saying they are particularly ones that we are, but just might be preferenced in there. Two being ones that are definitely eligible, and not saying that they wouldn't be considered, but just saying they're out there and available. And then three being kind of the lost opportunities portion of just structures that have already been pushed over or anything of that sort. And just trying to identify, or I guess give more of a story and information to others on the board or others within the city of where things have been as far as research before and where possibilities are going forward a little bit. And so it seems like we are able to kind of chew at this a little bit, at least as far as on the GIS side of things and update the current one, start to add layers to it, and then have the board can have their discussions on whether the other parts belong there or not, but at least have something to fall back on and start a discussion that's probably a little bit more rich.
And I think it would replace the old one, right? Because she's not updating that previous walking tour thing, isn't that right? Because I thought that was like defunct. Isn't
Well,
that
it's going to
kind
be defunct shortly. It's
Right.
built on a platform that will no longer
Right.
exist or be able to be maintained.
So she'll basically make a new website platform type thing for us, and it'll have all those layers where it'll be really interactive. And at any point, other layers and information can be added to it. So, and some of it, like he said, can either be like for us to see as far as like, what was the term we said? Houses of interest, or what was the, I can't remember what.
just properties of interest or something
Of
of that
interest,
sort.
yeah, instead of targeting.
Yeah.
We're like, yikes. Anyway, but yeah, having information where some of it's just for us, maybe even, but, and then having like the layer where it shows the historic map, and then you can like layer on top the current map, where you can kind of see all that. So it should be pretty neat. I think she seemed really like positive about being able to get that accomplished.
Yeah, there was a possibility of maybe having an internship or something where they could dig into that a little bit and probably climb in a little deeper. Another item that we discussed was, right now, the way it's set up is anybody that is a landmark property right now has, I would say, a 3-paragraph summary or something else with that. And that's a great way to climb in, but is there another way to attach that other layer of research and history that's been with it that we can see with some of these properties that are really, I mean, there's a lot of information there, and why not be able to share it, especially on properties that have already been through the process, and this is something that can happen with yours as well, and just become more of an encouragement thing. Additionally, it might give you something to have a URL, or, like if you're out at farmer's market or anything else, where you could have that in a separate map where you can kind of talk through some of those items and be able to show people properties that are around somebody else's house and what's out there. Maybe be a little bit more useful. Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, no, being able to click on social histories and photos and that kind of thing. Yeah, and then the other thing is, I think staff is kind of trying to figure out Josh's role moving forward, as far as like, can he help or not, or all that. So with not being on the commission. So that's something there'll have to be discussion as far as like who wants to kind of take it on or kind of get that passed over. I think GIS will probably be able to run with it pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think Josh is open to like helping if he can, but we just didn't want to, staff wasn't sure like what the volunteer looks like after you're no longer on the commission. So anyway, it should be a seamless handoff if it needs to be to some extent.
If not,
I mean-
you're gonna have to stay.
Yeah, that's the other.
I did offer to keep helping on that front for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And you can still like get feedback and stuff from Josh as far as whatever. So anyway, just something to think about, but it'll be pretty, I think it'll be great.
yeah.
Well, and is your sense that the city staff can handle sort of the technology part of it, but that HPC can help a lot with the content?
I would think so. I think it would be something that, again, if it's able to be roughed and second drafted, and then it would still be something that it would, maybe the HPC could pull off, let's say, one neighborhood per quarter or something like that, and go through and have an opinion on that and kind of confirm that that's the feeling of the commission at that time. So,
And that's one thing we talked about with, what was her name?
Eileen.
Eileen. Was that she was kind of saying like you build out the possibility of the program bigger than what you start with. So you make it robust enough to be able to add to it. But then when you start it, you can start it really small, but you want to make sure that you make the capacity large enough to, so once we get it figured out, she can like start the minimal, like just the landmarks, and then add lost opportunities or whatever in the different layers, but then have the ability to add whatever we want in the future, which will be a lot better than what we currently have, which is very limited. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, and then it just, I think, the commission can very easily kind of say like, what if we, tried this or that? And hopefully once that groundwork is laid, it'll be just good. The only kind of hard thing was she said it works better on a computer than like a mobile. So it's not like did you understand that?
Yep.
So that's the only, I don't know, kind of trying to figure out, is that something that we want to figure out, like how to make it more interactive on the go at some point? But she said just like the amount of information and the usage isn't as good on phones as it is like on your actual computer. So, but anyway, that's not a big deal, but that's just something to consider. So, yeah. But she seemed excited about it, like very positive, and like it was doable. And Josh did all the work, so she just has to plug it in. So, yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking like about items B and C, and we can probably dovetail all of that.
Absolutely.
Like pick a hierarchy of topics that we want to emphasize and coordinate it across all three of those things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. But even like in like outreach events, when you're in your tent, having an iPad where, they can interact with it right there, and you can talk about certain things, and seeing patterns of what areas have had more demos or more landmarks or kind of neighborhood streets that are, so it'll be a really great tool that can just kind of evolve with the program. So, and maybe, even like, you could add a layer of like grants and like additions, or, it could be all kinds of really cool. And I like the idea of being able to kind of layer down like as Louisville was growing, by neighborhood. So anyway, that's really cool.
Any other questions?
Sounds great. Sounds like you guys really worked your butts off to accomplish what you have done. So kudos to you guys, and hopefully however we go forward with it, whoever steps up and takes it on can do it justice to what you've done so far.
That's it for me.
Great. Thank you so much for the detailed update and all your work on it too. And I'll get back to you shortly about your question about volunteering. Okay, so the next item is Old Town Walking Tour. It sounds like this might be something we want to roll into this project. I don't know if there's any updates you want to discuss now, or we can punt it to another day for Sloan and Linda.
I think it's kind of been in a little bit of a holding pattern as we've waited on working on the content for the updated brochure and flyer. And I did sit down with Gigi and talk about the walking tours that they're doing, and they're converting everything over to Bloomberg Connects, and then they have the viewfinder, cute little viewfinder walking tours. So we can piggyback on a lot of that stuff, but we want to create some buckets of information that we're going to emphasize so it's simplified and streamlined in terms of like the print materials, and also, walking tour emphasis, and keep it focused on the outreach information that we want to most emphasize for the public. So I think the next step over the winter and into the spring is going to figure out exactly what information we want to include, so that there's not a ton of words on the brochure. It can't be a wall of text. It needs to be, simple statistics that are captivating for folks. So,
And just as a reminder too, we applied for a CLG grant to help with that outreach and support maybe professionally designed brochure.
Yep.
So we should hear back the first week of January if we were awarded those funds. All right. And then for the next item, events, I know we've covered the events this year, and we've marked that complete. So that's something that we can pick up again in the new year and start planning for 2026, unless there's anything else to add.
Nothing new.
Okay. All right, so the next item is staff updates. I sent out an email a few weeks ago about the Saving Places Conference, which is in Denver this year. The dates are February 11th to 13th, 2026. And we were awarded a CLG grant for this as well for 2 commissioners to attend, and I know Sloan is planning to attend. We also have a training budget as well, so if more than one person wants to attend, you're welcome to. So maybe have a ponder on that. I'll register Sloan in the new year. And perhaps some of our new commissioners might want to attend as well. But let me know if that's something you're interested in.
It would be nice if one of the new folks wanted to. I did that right away in the beginning with you, Linda, and it was a good experience, sort of just to get acquainted with all the themes that were at top of mind. So
Have you been yet, Talbot?
I'm hoping it's ski season. I'm not going to be here, but I looked at that. It sounds great, but that should be my prime.
Yeah,
I only get a couple months that I say no to stuff.
it's fair.
There is no snow yet.
I know. But I booked my place for that week.
I did have another update that's not on this presentation, but the 1016 main purchase fell through, unfortunately. So just so you're aware, if you see it for sale and you're wondering why, I'm not sure all of the details, but it's for sale again. So
Wow.
yeah, so our unencumbered budget is back to 2.1 million instead of 3.5. So just to keep that in mind as we're considering any grants next year, and we'll revisit that amount again at that time.
do we, can I ask a question? Who is representing the property?
There was no representation. It was, someone was interested in it and there was no realtor involved.
But are they going
Yeah.
to change that strategy now?
I'm not sure. I'll follow up with Rob and I'll give you an update in January. Is there any more questions about that item? No? Okay, and then our next regular meeting is actually scheduled for MLK Day, so we'll have to reschedule that, and we'll send out a correspondence about that in the new year as well, and find an alternative date for January. And then after the meeting adjourns, we have a little farewell for our 3 commissioners that are leaving us. So we wanted to thank you very much for your service, Linda, Chrissy, and Josh. We'll miss you. I'm not sure who the new commissioners will be, but we should find out after council tomorrow night. So hang around for some pie afterwards, and we'll give you a little gift when the meeting adjourns. That's everything for me. If there's any commissioner.
One question for staff, I guess. Not too long ago, we had a whole bunch of meeting minutes that we had to catch up on from like a year. Are we going to be doing it that way again, or?
No, we're all caught up. I just didn't get the draft ones to you from October and November. Those are the last ones. So those will be going to you in January for approval.
Okay,
And then
so-
we should be, now that we have Kristen in place, we shouldn't be behind like that anymore.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, the year's worth at once is like, oh my God.
Yeah, sorry about that. Oops. And then any commission member updates?
I think we just talked about if there's anybody interested in being at least temporary chair for the January
yes.
meeting.
I did ask Jenny about that. And so staff will run the meeting, but the first item will be setting a chair.
Okay.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Thank you, though, for the reminder.
Remembering that. Any other updates from anybody? No. All right. Yeah, and that's the last item is to adjourn. So I just want to say, like, I've very much enjoyed serving on HPC, and I especially have enjoyed this commission. So I thank you for all the work that you have done that are staying. And if you need anything or have whatever, like any of us, you can reach out to us. And yeah, but just carry on and trust your instinct. You guys know the program, you know the community. So just thank you for being consistent and willing to carry it on. So, and thank you to staff. Thank you for being here and taking on Louisville.
Of course.
So we're
You've been a
very
great bunch to work with, so it's been very easy.
grateful to have a good staff person in place. So
Thank
yeah.
you.
And if you ever need anything, reach out. So,
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
yeah. All right, you want to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, good night.
Excited to see so many people from our Wheat Ridge community come together. We've got neighbors